I overlapped with Dennis for a year in Oakland. He was there, I was there. And so I had a firsthand opportunity to watch him lead the team. And I'm using the word lead in quotes because I don't believe he was a leader. Or stated differently, I think what leaders do is best position everybody to be their best. Leaders accept all blame. Leaders attribute to success to others. And Dennis did none of that.
Well, what example happened in Oakland where that gave you an idea where you might have counseled the Saints from saying, all right, we'll take the DC from Sean Payton and elevate him?
Well, and before I get to that,
yes.
Remember the movie Sliding Doors, where the doors of the train slide shut?
Yeah, the Gwyneth Paltrow movie with the great haircut.
I didn't remember that part. And because the doors slide shut, someone doesn't make it on the train and lives change. Think about this if you're a Saints fan. The Saints had two people on staff at the same time, Dan Campbell, and Dennis Allen. Dan is now leading the Lions, and the Saints made Dennis the head coach. Think if that had been reversed. Think if there was a sliding doors moment there. You think Saint fans would be happier with Dan Campbell?
I'm telling you, Don Bowie, our producer, is in the back dying a slow death.
Do you think he's crying?
Right
do you think I made him cry?
Well,
Maybe.
I mean, I don't think you made him cry because I think he's cried all the tears that he has left. But what gave you the indication in Oakland? Like, what happened in Oakland where you're like, this guy is no leader?
Well, again, he accepted no responsibility for things that went wrong. He never attributed any things that went right to others. And he didn't, look, I think good leaders do all they can to bring out the best in those that they are trying to lead. And I'm referring now to what Dennis did, not only within the locker room, not only with the coaching staff, but the organization as a whole. He diminished people. He left people in tears. And look, let me make something very clear. People will push back at times and say, well, Aim, he was a strong leader. He was a demanding leader. Let me tell you something. I worked for Al Davis for almost 30 years. I know what it means to be a strong leader, to work for a strong leader, to work for a demanding leader. But I also know that Al did what the best do, which is he best positioned others to be their best and tried to bring out the best in others. And I never saw that from Dennis.
Well, I mean, let's just assume that he hadn't evolved, okay? Because obviously there was a lot of time between your tenure and what happened with the Saints. When you go 2-0, and I know Mickey Loomis, the general manager.
I like Mickey. I know Mickey.
I don't know if you saw his statement today.
I did.
But he basically, said there were injuries and it's not really all Dennis's fault, which is what maybe somebody who put the roster together would also say. Certainly if Gail Benson might be looking around thinking I'm not done with a house clean right now. But that when you start 2-0 and then lose 7 in a row, and one of the 7 is a home game in front of the whole country, and the guy who Dennis Allen is replacing is coming in with his new team, and they beat the absolute tar out of the Saints on Drew Brees night.
And did you hear
on Drew Brees night?
Did you hear what that visiting coach had to say after that game about the Saints? He didn't mince words. He said they're a bad team.
I think also when you lose to Carolina by a point, I think that's also when you're thinking to yourself, we're not a football team playing in unison. We're not playing well. A lot of the players also said that they felt that they were held up to different standards. In fact, I read an article from Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football, and he did a great article on everything that went wrong under Allen. And it sounds like a lot of players, I'm going to quote, they were tired of him saying play Saints football, as the fact that I don't think they knew what Saints football was. And here's a quote: behind the scenes, cracks started to show during that season. Players griped about a lack of accountability and felt that Carr was treated by a different set of standards than everyone else. He often told the players to keep chopping wood, and players started making fun of that phrase.
Oh, my word.
Well, and, Rich, you raised a really good point, which is it has been quite a period of time since I was with Dennis in Oakland. And I'm the first to say that people can grow up on the job. They can grow on the job. They can learn from their mistakes. Look, I grew up. I not only grew on the job, I grew up on the job, and I made a lot of mistakes. I like to think, however, that I learned from those mistakes. And what I saw of Dennis in New Orleans suggested to me that he did not learn from that which he did poorly in Oakland.
Check out new episodes of What the Football with Suzy Shuster and Amy Trask every Tuesday. Watch us on the Rich Eisen Show YouTube page or follow and listen wherever you get your podcasts.